Welcome to the show. My guest tonight for the second time, the Blue.
Howdy, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So, for people that don't know you, can you tell everyone who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, I'm the Blue. I'm a Calgary hip hop artist. I'm also the festival manager of Sled Island. But right now I've got a new album coming out, or is out. So look at the bright side.
Nice. So, last time you were here, we were just talking about Sled Island. We didn't really talk about you and your career and everything. How does it feel kind of doing promo on yourself instead of that event?
Yeah, it's always a little nerve-wracking when it's you that you're focusing on or have to push rather than like the festival. Plus with Sled, most of my job is honestly behind the scenes. It's doing all the spreadsheets, documents, all that stuff. So I'm not necessarily like putting my face out there. I do go out and do a lot of like interviews and stuff, but when it's not about you that you have to answer all the questions, you're good. Yeah. But this is different. It's good.
Yeah. So your album just came out.
Yeah.
It is called, the last one was called Things Could Be Worse.
Yeah.
And this one is called So Look at the Bright Side.
Yes.
Are they connected?
They are. I love albums like that where they feed off each other. They are a continuation of each other. So the full thing together is Things Could Be Worse, So Look at the Bright Side. There's so many artists who've done their versions of that. G-Eazy has These Things Happen, and his next album was When It's Dark Out. And then Mac Miller had Swimming, and then Circles, Swimming in Circles. And so many artists have those kind of albums. And I felt when I started working on this new project, I just felt a lot of similar ideas that needed to be finished from the last one or paralleled the last album. And so I thought that was a perfect way to continue off of that.
Did you know you're going to do that before? When did you decide to do that?
Honestly, I think I actually thought of that when we were releasing the last album, when we were releasing Things Could Be Worse. I was just like, oh my goodness, so look at the bright side. And even right now, we've released the album, but I think, when was it? I think July. I already had a folder on my album called New Album 2027 and like just throwing ideas in there. And I had to stop myself to just be like, hey man, you gotta wait, put this album out, and then you can roll into the next one. But yeah.
That's awesome. Where did the name The Blue come from, by the way?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I asked that last time even.
It's not sparkly story, but back in the day, I think it was probably like grade 8 or grade 9. My friends and I had our little group that we were making music together, and everyone was coming up with cool names, and I just couldn't think of one to save my life. And one day when we were in the band room after school, working on a song with one of our friends who was going to be singing on the song for us, everybody was there, and then I was messing around with this trumpet, and she started saying the nursery rhyme, Little Boy Blue, come blow your horn. And I was like, oh, snap, I think that's dope. So I went with Little Boy Blue to start. And then I think like a year after, I was just like, oh, I don't want to be 30 and people calling me Little Boy Blue.
Yeah.
So I kept on trying to figure something out. And then I settled on The Blue. I think it has a nice, just clean sound to it.
Yeah, it does. This album, how long does it take to make an album? When did you start working on this one specifically?
Yeah, this one I would say early 2023, because the last album came out October 2022, and I was just struggling. I tried November, December that year. I tried working on music, and I was just struggling to write. I feel like that last album, I had just poured everything of myself or squeezed myself dry, so I had nothing to write at that time. So it ended up boiling into 2023 when I let myself breathe a little and just let that album settle. And I think at the same time, I had just joined Sled as the festival manager. So there was just so much to do, and I was trying to do that and work on new music. So it ended up working out to start in the new year. But that last album, to answer your question of how long do these things take, Things Could Be Worse came from a place of, there were a couple of years where I wasn't making music. I blew out my vocal cords, and just so many other things were happening. And so that turned into 6 years between like my last project, the People's album, that came out in 2016, And then this album, Things Could Be Worse, that came out in 2022. And that gave me 6 years of experience. That gave me 6 years of getting down, thinking I wouldn't do music anymore because my vocal cords were blown out. That was time of rediscovering my love for music and starting to write again and perform again. It was actually 2019, my favorite rapper, Shad. I got the opportunity to open for him at Commonwealth. And the main thing with that time and that moment was I really pushed to get on that show, and we got on the show, which was great. But I got on the show as sort of, that was a big dream, probably top bucket list thing for me to open for him, perform with him, meet him. And that was sort of, if I'm going to go out and not ever perform again, I don't want to go out with a regret of I didn't try to get on this show. So I did that. And then just that performance, Commonwealth was packed. The reception from the audience was so great. Shad and his team were amazing. All of that compiled to sparking that love again for music and writing and putting me back on the path to being an artist again. So that was 6 years. And it's been 3 years since that album to get to So Look at the Bright Side. And we'll see. I said 2027 for the next album in 2 years, but it could be 3, 4, 5 years. We don't know.
Does working at Sled and seeing so many creatives kind of get your creative juices flowing?
It does. And it's sort of, it's so weird because I love being on this side and giving opportunities to so many artists, but I'm just like, oh my goodness, I would love to be on this show, or I want to be out and creating. And so it does spark, it does drive me, it does push me to go and keep working on my own music and working to improve. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a lot of Calgary artists on this album, right?
Yeah, so many.
Why was that important to you?
Community. Community is like the biggest thing for me in Calgary. I think we've got an amazing music scene, whether that's the hip hop scene, the punk scene, the indie rock scene, the pop scene. We've got so many great artists, and I just want to find more and more ways to bring that to the forefront and display that, show that for other people to see. Also for Calgarians to see. I still find a lot of people are not as involved or as knowledgeable about our scene and what's going on. So I really try to push that wherever I can. And so every song on this album except one, the rest of them, everything has a feature. Whether that's Dozy, who's an amazing artist from Calgary but lives in Toronto now, K Riz, who is a legend in the Albertan music scene, T Fanny, K The Chosen, so many more to name, Zenon. There's so many artists on this album. And then one of my favorite bands, Hip Hip Thursday, their lead vocalist, the rapper Harry, is on the album, as well as Naomi, a singer from that band. So many cool, talented artists, and so many that I still haven't named.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, but you went through a lot of them. How does working with that many people with the collab kind of shift your sound or your process?
Yeah, I think it works great because I produced the whole album. So I'm working on that and I'm driving kind of how I want things to sound, but I love collaborating with other people because they bring a different perspective or they bring a different approach. And then so it also pushes me. I mentioned Harry. When Harry laid down his verse for the song Nobody Told Us on the album, once I heard that verse, I was like, oh my goodness. And I went back and rewrote like whole chunks of my verse. And I just had to make sure that I was coming at that same level. And it's a good drive. People push you. And I think there are times you can fall into this sense of security when you're doing everything and you're like, oh, this is my song. It's a good vibe. And then I'm like, oh no, I have to put a little more into it. And I think having each other like that really drives us. And so that was a big factor for me. It pushed me across the whole album. People like K Riz, T Fanny, K The Chosen, all very experienced rappers. And so I had to bring my A game on my project to keep up with them. Yeah.
Did you have any songs that maybe didn't make the last album or that you're holding on to for a long time that kind of made it onto this album?
Yeah, not ones that didn't make the last album, but ones that I have been, like I wrote 3 years ago in the process, but like just after, or sorry, I guess in 2023. So just after that process, I wrote a bunch of songs and they've just been sitting there, either not recorded or recorded and just been there. And sometimes you just got to figure out like where things fit. There are a lot of songs that I did write in this whole process that came nowhere near the album. I wrote them, I liked them, and then realized, oh, they don't fit what I'm trying to say in this album, and then just put them off to the side. If you go on my laptop, there's a folder of at least somewhere between 100 to 200 other songs that not all fully like written and like fleshed out, but a lot of songs that I started, wrote, and realized it wasn't what I wanted to say, or songs that I know for sure will probably go on a future project or just come out as a single later that I really like. There's a song called Family that I started writing and I really liked it. I just couldn't find the right things to say in certain parts. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but finding the right way to say it didn't come out the way I wanted, and I didn't want to rush it, so I left it off the album. And then so there's so many pieces and parts like that.
Have you performed some of these already? Do you perform them and then they work their way in, or do you wait till it's released?
No, sometimes I will. So there was another song called Close that I wrote, and I was like, oh, this is great. I performed it live. It did not get the reception I wanted. And so on both ends, from the audience, there was like, cool, that's a nice song. And I was like, that didn't hit the same way I thought it would hit live. And I was so excited about it. I was like, okay, maybe not for now. And so I put it sort of on the back burner and we'll revisit later. But I have a few of those where I will perform them live before the songs are out just to see what other people think, what I think of it in that live setting. I do write a lot of my songs in with the mindset of how is this going to translate live, because I do want to perform as many of them live. There's some songs that I just won't ever perform live because I've written them in a way that is either maybe difficult to perform live or just wouldn't, it may sound great listening to it, but in a live setting, it may not translate unless you have everything exactly how it needs to be, whether that's like the right instruments, the right room setting. Like a lot of stages I'm playing on are more energetic shows, so I need to bring a more energetic vibe, and that may be too much of a drop in energy. And so things like that, just figuring it out. But I do like to perform some songs before they're released to see how people perceive them or how I feel about them.
How do you do all these collab songs live without the other people there?
I do most of them live with them when I can. Most people, if they're in Calgary, I'll always just hit them up. Again, T. Fanny and K The Chosen, they're on one song together called How Could I Not Try. We did release that as a single last year. And so with that, whenever I have the opportunity, I will call them to do it live, or if they've got a set, they'll call me and I'll hop on and we'll do that song. But yeah, most of the artists are from Calgary, so I can do it with them. If not, for example, in the case of Dozy, where he lives in Toronto now, we can do the song without him. Whether that's a drum solo, a sax solo from my saxophone player, or a guitar solo, or just me shortening the song, or adding a new verse that I haven't done before, writing something for that occasion. Yeah.
What are your favorite and least favorite parts of making an album?
Ooh, my favorite parts, I would probably say my favorite part would be collaborating. I do love that aspect of it. And I love the creation side of it. I love it because there's, it's not a competition, but there's that drive, again, where you're pushing each other. So I love that aspect of it. And I love what other people can bring to the table. I specifically love the perspective other people can bring. I will come to a song with a title and be like, this is how I'm approaching the song. And I'll write that out. And then someone will see this flip side of it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like the song Nobody Told Us on the album, it's about nobody told us when we were young, life would be like this. Like the world would be like this. Our friends would pass away or before we're 80. Our friendships would just die out, things like that. And so I had an approach to writing it, and I went that way. I wrote my verse, and I wrote most of the verse pretty quickly. Then the last 4 lines took me about 3-4 months to figure out how I wanted to execute that portion. And then Harry's verse right away, when he laid that verse down on the album, I found myself going back to it, and just the thought process and how he broke his verse down, how he basically went through pieces of like a lost friendship or losing connection with people. It was just really cool. And so I love that aspect of it. The aspect of like that I don't like is probably the stress of what will other people think. You can write a song and you can love it, but there's always that feeling inside of you of like, oh, how are people going to react to this? And I know it just in terms of friends I show the album or songs from the album too early or other artists and them being like, I don't really feel that. And I think there's a portion of it where you need to be like, this is the art I want to create and I love and enjoy this exactly how it is, and just not listen to other people and push it out. But there's an aspect of, I do love when people give me constructive feedback. I do love when people critique things. It allows me to grow in myself and understand what works and what doesn't. And so, but yeah, that's probably the least favorite, knowing eventually you will have to put the music out and hear what people say.
Do you have one track that comes to mind that's really special to you that either you think is going to really hit with people or that's like you have a personal connection to?
Oh, one track. I really like Nobody Told Us because I did enjoy exploring that aspect of not just like we weren't told these things, but also in my verse, I talk about how we weren't told these things, but we learned these together as kids growing up, taking care of ourselves. And obviously, like I had my parents, they're great. My friends had their parents, they're great, all that. But I just mean in like our day-to-day in like a school and interacting, building these friendships and relationships, you spend most of your time with other people outside of your family when you're growing up. So your teachers, like what you're learning or not learning from them. So I liked exploring that. The last song, Life is Good, I probably enjoyed that the most or close to the most. I only have one verse on it. I have other features on there where I let them shine a little more, but I loved what I wrote in terms of exploring what is good in my life, but also the aspect of, I think I end the verse off by saying, we never question when we're feeling blessed abundantly. So why start when the rain gives us company? And so just that aspect of, we're not questioning when everything's going great. Why do we, or like, we never question like why things are going great in our life or why we're getting these opportunities, things like that. So why would we when things aren't going great? And so exploring that and exploring being appreciative of the things I have in my life and life being good. I really enjoyed that. There are a bunch of songs that I like on the album that, but maybe that. Or last one I'll end off with, Ground Up. That one's just exploring mainly the starting of like really pushing for my music in like high school with two of my friends, specifically Steven, who's my saxophone player, and Cody, who's a buddy of ours who also rapped with us at the time, but now lives in like Hawaii with his wife and is living the life out there. But just exploring how we started and what we did to bring ourselves to a certain point. And it was great because I have both of them on that song. Steven playing sax for an outro at the end, and Cody with some ad-libs in there to just add to the song. That was a really special moment.
What's the story over the two albums? And how did your perspective change between your first album and the second one?
Yeah. Things Could Be Worse was really highlighting, again, that point of time where I told you the 6 years where I blew out my vocal cords, wasn't performing. Things just seemed like they weren't going exactly how I wanted them to, especially with the previous couple of years before that stint. It felt like a lot of things were going great. Like I just started university in 2014, and being 18 and getting asked to play a bunch of festivals, getting put on shows, going on the road, things like that. I was like, oh my goodness, like it's happening. It's going to, then boom, 2 years later, like you have next to no voice. Like my voice was horrible. I couldn't go 15 minutes without losing my voice speaking. And so
why did that happen?
It was just overuse. And when you're young, not understanding how to properly take care of your voice. So the band and I would be playing a lot of shows. I would be overcompensating by pushing my voice at times. and then just not letting it rest and just continuing that cycle. And eventually got really bad, plus just other things like going out to shows and cheering too much, like when you're pushing your vocal cords. Like, so just the compilation of all of that just ended up getting it to that point. I took it, my doctor, they sent me to a specialist, and they were like, it's like brutal. They gave me medicine to take for a few months where I couldn't, they specifically said, don't perform, you can't shout, you can't whisper, you can't do like all these things, you can't drink this, etc. So it was a weird time, and just other things didn't feel like they were going how I wanted to, just in life in general. And then things changed there. And it wasn't like I wasn't getting down on myself, and I wasn't like, oh, boo-hoo, boo me. But it was definitely like a lower point. But I was still trying to stay positive in some sense or find good things in my life, which there were so many. And that's where things could be worse came from. It was like all these things that may seem bad to me, but things could be worse. When I looked at it, I was like, oh, I've got an amazing family. I've got great friends. I've got this. I'm finishing university. I have these opportunities in other aspects of my life. And so, all those things, especially like after that Shad show, sparked everything going back into music. And I wrote most of the album through the pandemic as well. And so exploring that of like, oh, I found this love for music again. Cool. We can't perform. We're all stuck indoors. And like, but that forced me to learn to produce, and that forced me to spend more time every day intentionally writing more. And that really sparked a change for things for me. And so that's where that came from. Things could be worse came from that period of time. And then, so look at the bright side. I initially had the idea of it being more of this still hip hop album, but more poppy, like more happy-go-lucky. But as I started writing, it was more reflective. It was more grateful, things like that. So it didn't necessarily take that same sound, but it had me exploring different things. And so it really ended up working out that way, where I was thinking, switching the mindset of things could be worse. It's like, cool, things aren't where I want them to, but they could be worse. That's like one way to look at things. Or you could intentionally look at the bright side, look at the good things in life, look at those great things. And that's how that album came to be.
I'm going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Boom.
Hey, everyone. If you're new to the show, please subscribe on YouTube. Lots of listeners on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio. Keep subscribing there. Share it with someone. If you think it's a cool concept, share it with your friends. We want to keep it going. So, thanks so much. Stay tuned for more Deets.
The work that I put in a lot, more than a flash in the pot. Been on the sideline too long, time to get off the bench and show all of you all that I got. 10,000 hours and more I've been putting in work. I've been moving non-stop around the clock. So just pull up a seat, sit back and relax, and watch as the boy about to pop. If you didn't know the name before, trust me, you're gonna wanna write it down.
And we're back. So, how does it feel when you first perform new material? How is it different?
Yeah. You honestly don't know until you do it, because there's so many times we'll rehearse a song 5, 10, 15 times and we're like, yeah, this is perfect. Then we get on the live stage. It sounds different coming through the monitors. It sounds different with the crowd talking, like all these things. And there's so many times where I'll play a song, we'll rehearse it, then we'll do it live, and for some reason it sounds slower, just the way the sound is moving, things like that. So I feel like it always takes me 2 or 3 times of playing a song to get used to playing that song live. There are a lot of old songs we do in the set, like really old ones that we've performed into the ground that will just always feel perfect or just great regardless. But yeah, anytime we do new songs, we have to just get used to them. That's why, honestly, I like the position I'm in, where it's bigger artists, like let's say it's Drake or Kendrick or Eminem or whoever. Everyone knows their materials. So it's like, cool, hey man, we've been hearing these songs for X amount of time, versus with me going on tour right now. a lot of these people are finding out about me for the first time. So I will play some new songs, but I'll play most of my normal set because I know like, boom, this is a great set how it is. And a lot of folks will be seeing me for the first time. So let's give them a great show rather than me trying to test out this material for an hour on them. It'll be like, cool, maybe we test out 20 minutes of material in this set with them. And so there'll be probably, like a third of the set will be new songs, but we'll play songs that we've done before versus the album release in Calgary. Most people coming to the show have seen me before. So we will be playing a lot of new songs at that show. And we'll just have to rehearse it into the ground to make sure we're ready.
I actually had a question about that kind of thing because you're going on tour. Not everyone will know you. And it was going to be how you capture those people that are seeing you for the first time.
Yeah.
So is it just the ones you're most confident with?
Yeah, it'll be a mix. Like in terms of songs, you mean?
How you capture, like how you capture them as a fan, I guess.
Yeah, I have my way of doing this set of coming with high energy right from the get-go, engaging the crowd, showing them that we're having a good time, so it's okay if you have a good time. So getting them locked in like early. There's a really old song of mine called Hoping for the Best that you will find nowhere on streaming. You can look as hard as you want. You won't find it. And it's because the song recorded is not great. I put that song out when I was like 17. But it's a really great, like hype, high energy song. And so we start most of our sets off with that song because it's high energy. And then there's a part later in the set that comes across a little goofy. A little later in the song that comes across a little goofy, but we're able to get the crowd so engaged right off the bat. And I know if they engage with us on that song, we have them for the whole set and everything will go well. And so that's how I'm planning to do the tour, coming in with those songs that I know that we can get their energy high up to start with, get them invested in what we're doing and enjoying the show. And boom, we can sprinkle in a few new ones here and there and then end off strong again with some ones that we know for sure will get the energy up.
Do you remember the first time you performed live?
The very, very first time would be, I think in like grade 9 or 8 at like a pool party with some friends, and I think we did 1 or 2 songs, and it was my like little group of friends who we were putting out songs together, and we finished it. We were thinking like, wow, we're the guys, man. We're superstars. We've made it. And it was like grade 8 to like 20, 30 of our friends who were just like, oh, cool. But yeah, so that was probably the first time performing like that. But I think the first like very
gig
and show like that I would say was serious was, I think when I was 16 or 17, Transit, hip hop legend in Calgary, who was my mentor, he got me a show opening up for Swollen Members, who are a Canadian hip hop legendary group. And so that was back at this old venue called New Black Center. There was an all ages venue way back. And so I did that show, and the set was so bad. Like it was not good. And I was like, forgetting lyrics and having to freestyle, and then like realizing like, oh, I don't have a strong core thing of songs that I can perform that will keep people engaged. And yes, I'm remembering more now. It was when I was 16. That was like a really good lesson. The other thing as well, I think that show really spoke to how great Calgary's audience is in the music scene, because everyone there was still like not hyping me up, but like
having a good time.
Yeah, they were just like, come on, man. And like, so they didn't let me like get down on myself. And there were good bits of it where people were like, oh, you can rap. Okay. But then there were like really bad bits of it. And so.
Was it because you were bad, or were you nervous about opening Swollen Members? That's pretty crazy for your first performance.
I think it was a mix of both, but it wasn't, at the time I wouldn't say I was bad. I think it's like those moments are very eye-opening to show you cool, you may think you know what you're doing, but there's so much more for you to learn. And so getting up on a stage with lights pointing at you, people staring at you, waiting for you to entertain them is a lot. That's why, one, I could never be a comedian because they specifically, you need people to laugh. Otherwise, like, you failed. And so it's the same thing with music. You can see in people's eyes if they're having a good time or if you have them engaged or connected in some way. And so it can be really tough. So at 16, getting up there and then just being nervous, but then also then realizing, oh, I'm not as good as I think I am. And I need so much more work. I think it was a combination of both of those.
Did it make the next one easier or harder?
It made it easier in the sense that I really pushed myself. I really focused on like, I need to make good music that isn't like, that reaches people in some way. And again, at 16, 17, you're not going to be making the most insightful music or anything like that. But I found my way of, most of how I started and most of what I do now is very like jazzy, old school hip hop or soul sample hip hop. So finding a good groove that like the song sounds good. What I'm saying is like, you can hear what I'm saying. I'm not just, I'm like rapping. You can hear what I'm saying. The music sounds good. Okay, cool. This is enjoyable. So made it easier in that aspect. And I really always think about that because I've had some shows that were stinkers, like just not great. And I've always stopped and been like, how did I like at that age get through that? Because that would be so like demotivating to other people and to myself as well. Because I remembered feeling really bad about those shows. And I remember like the last few years, I've played shows where there are 100 some odd people in the room. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't happy about this, or oh, it wasn't the turnout I wanted, or oh, it wasn't this. And people are like, bro, that show was great. But getting in your head and like, but learning and advancing through that, yeah, it's weird. But I always wonder how I get myself through those things or how I get the courage to show my face again if something really did go bad. But I think if you really love it, you're going to keep doing it.
Do you get nerves in the same way? Have your nerves gotten better? How are they? And do you have any like pre-show rituals?
Yeah, they've gotten so much better. There was a point it was like really bad, and I don't know how we got to that point, but there was a point I would get pretty nauseous before we would go on stage. And the second we stepped on the stage, it would go away. But it was like a bad like 5 to 10 minutes before. It would just get really bad. And I didn't really consciously think about it until we opened up for a rapper named Sunreal when we were like 19. And my buddy Clay, who was singing with us at the time, he was just like, oh my goodness, bro, like that was brutal. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you looked sick. Like you looked really bad for those 5-10 minutes. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then you stepped on and you looked completely different, like in that space of time. And so I don't know what was happening at that time, but I think it's also confidence in you knowing your stuff. It's the same thing when we were going up for Shad, I was getting nauseous, but the set was like amazing and great. And I think in that moment, something switched where I realized like, oh, I do know what I'm doing. I am a performer. I'm a good performer. And then switching into that mindset. So going into any show, there are still nerves in the sense like, oh, I want it to be a good show, or oh, I hope I give a great delivery or a great performance for people to enjoy. But it's in a different sense. And I think if you're not nervous even a little bit, you don't care. I think being nervous means you care. And so I've basically flattened those nerves down pretty low. There'll still be the odd moment where you go in front of like either a bigger crowd, or honestly, I find like the smaller the crowd, the more intimate, like people are looking at you and you can see people's eyes. So it's a little more nerve-wracking, but yeah.
Do you have any rituals you do before a show?
Oh, it keeps changing. There were a number of years where we would just always get mango juice. Like the band and I, we would get mango juice, and people caught on to that. People who knew us and would come to different shows, and they would bring mango juice to the shows for us, which was hilarious. I think now it's just I drink tea, make sure like my throat is feeling okay. I just chill, drink some water. I can't eat I can't eat within 4 hours of performing now. So I just make sure I eat like at a certain point, like 5 hours beforehand, just to make sure I have eaten something and my body's feeling okay, but not in that time space so I don't feel bloated or nauseous or anything like that. And then the band and I just do a quick prayer and then get on stage.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the release party,
Yeah.
September 26th.
Yep.
Tell everyone a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. It's at the historic #1 Royal Canadian Legion. It's such a great venue. It's been a long-standing venue for Sled Island, which is amazing. But I've seen some unbelievable acts on that stage. So getting to be on that stage in this sense of being the headliner is so cool. But we've got a great lineup. It's obviously myself and the band, but we've got Cuvaro and the Only Hopes. They are an amazing band here in Calgary. They've got a great lineup of musicians who are just very talented, very tight in their playing. So many people love and admire Q and the rest of the band, so it's going to be a great turnout for them. Hip Hip Thursday, they're one of my favorite bands in the city. They're a jazz hip-hop band with just a few other things fused in there, but they're great. There's 6 members. They really bring the energy. And Harry, again, the lead vocalist, the lead rapper, his writing is just beautiful. When you take time and listen to what he's saying and the stories he's painting out, you really get into what they're saying, what the song is about, and you just enjoy it as well. So like great writing over top of great soul jazz music, and that's what you'll get with them. And then Undecided, they're going to be kicking off the show for us. They're a really great soul, pop, R&B, hip-hop band. There are 8 members in that band, so a lot of people on stage for them, but they're great as well. I've performed with them before, and they're just great people.
How's this show going to be different for you? What are you feeling going into this one?
I'm feeling this one's going to be great because it's at the Legion. It's a big venue, big space, and we're just going to be bringing out a lot of people from the community. That's the big thing that we're trying to do. Again, the album has so many people featured on it, and a lot, if not all of those people, will join us on stage at some point to perform in those songs, as well as all those other bands who are opening, just a lot of great bands in the community. So I want it to be a thing of, hey, come celebrate me and come celebrate this new album before we go on tour. But I also want it to be, hey, come celebrate the great things that are happening in our community and our music scene. We've got so many talented musicians, not just who are going to touch the stage that night, but might be in the room that night, who are performing and doing things around. And I just want to bring a key focus to that in a great venue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does this tour feel different? And also, when you go on tour, do you bring a piece of Calgary with you?
Ooh. Yeah, the tour feels different in a great way because I've gone as opening support for other people. I've gone to different cities to play and open up for friends or play at festivals, but I've never headlined my own tour. So it feels different in that aspect of like, there are these nerves of, oh my goodness, what are these people in other places going to think about me? But also it's like, they're coming for me and, oh, I hope people show up for this. So there are nerves there, but all the shows have great lineups of great local talent. Vancouver, there's this artist, Hallelujah Halu. Love her music so much. And I discovered her music like a few years ago, and she played Sled, and I was over the moon. I was so excited about that. And every stop has great, talented musicians. We're playing Vancouver, then Red Deer, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Regina, Winnipeg, and then Calgary, of course. And so many talented musicians, and it feels great because I'm going to get to perform with them, be in their space, see how things are in their community, their scene, enjoy what that city has to bring. So it's going to feel really good.
Do you bring Calgary with you in a way where is it kind of part of your music or?
Yeah, I always shout out Calgary. Whether it's in Edmonton, we're going to get up to some shenanigans, Flames versus Oilers. I might be wearing a Flames jersey. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I always bring Calgary where I can, in the sense that I'm shouting them out. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm the Blue. The band and I were from Calgary. I'll always put that forefront for people to hear, to see. Because again, I think Calgary's doing such great things. When you and I spoke about Sled Island, it's so cool how many people are talking about Sled Island, talking about Calgary's music scene and thinking like, oh, this is the place to be. And so I want that to be prevalent wherever I go. Oh, this guy's from Calgary. And I get that in Calgary. We'll play a show opening for someone else and they'll be like, oh, you guys are great. Like, can we like check you out somewhere? Where are you guys from? And we're like, oh, we're from Calgary. And they seem so surprised or so shocked. And I don't want that to be the thought or the first go-to that, oh, these people are good. They can't be from Calgary. I actually got a DM from somebody recently and he was like, oh, it's so dope to see someone from Calgary. Like, I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean, man? Like, just go outside. There's so many talented like Calgary musicians in the scene. You just have to go out to shows and find them.
What this show on the 26th at the Legion, what goes into planning something like this that people might not, like a regular person might not know about?
Yeah, it's a lot. Just
how long also does it take to plan this kind of event? When did you know the dates and everything?
Yeah, because we wanted to make sure we're ahead of the ball, but also we wanted to get some grant funding, which we did, which was great, from Alberta Foundation for the Arts. We were really on top of things from October last year.
Wow.
So October last year, we were emailing venues, we were chatting with them about what it would look like, getting those shows, getting all those acts together. And so for the Legion one, the Legion's a stage that I have performed before, but I've wanted to do my own show and bring folks out to enjoy in that setting. So we were on top of it right away. The folks at the Legion, we love them. They love us. And so it was great planning. It was easy to essentially get that locked in because they were happy to do the event, which we're so grateful for. But on top of that as well, there's so many components. There's communicating with all the bands, making sure they know when things are happening, when we're announcing things. There's the actual show in terms of having people on hand for doors, having people run sound, having people do all that. And it's so hilarious. People don't think there's all that background work going into a show, or they might think so, but they don't know how much actually goes into it. And I think the reason, even though I'm like, oh, we're doing a lot of work, the reason I may not feel overwhelmed is I'm doing that for Sled, but for 12 to 15 venues a night for 6 nights or 5 nights. Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. I have a handle on this. And so I've got a great team of folks with me as well. Jason, who's my manager, he will be there at the show managing, like getting artists on and off stage on time, getting them to the green room, getting volunteers where they need to be, and folks there at the show. I've got Lauren, who runs our merch in the sense that she's the one who prints everything, gets there with her team to set up a booth, sell the merch, do all that. I've got a great group of folks around me, and so that really makes things easy as well.
When the tour and the show and the tour and all that settles down and it's over, what does success for this album look like for you? And what do you hope people take from it?
Ooh. First, what I hope people take from the album is a positive feeling. I hope they go away thinking or taking like the positive notes, the encouragement, everything. That's always a powerful thing for me. If people listen to the music, feel something, feel connected in a way that they're either seeing or they've found a different way of thinking about something, I hope they always go away with something like that, or just feeling good. With Things Could Be Worse, that was like a great moment for me. A buddy of mine, his younger sister's boyfriend, came up to me at the show, and he was just like, hey man, I love the album. And like in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, this is cool. But then he went on and was just like, hey man, this album really came for me like a great time. And like, it really, like, I was in a down spot, but it really helped me through some things. And hearing that is unbelievable. And so I heard him, I believed him, I thanked him, and that was a great feeling. But then, and the album had been out for a week or so at that point when that show came out. And then to go on stage and we're rapping and I'm seeing this guy rapping line for line with me after 1 week is so crazy. And so I hope I can just reach someone like that where they can go away feeling good or feeling someone else understands what they're feeling. So that was a great experience. On top of that, success for the album and the tour and everything like that just looks like reaching new audiences so that we can go out there again. Just reaching new like milestones. So doing this tour, being able to go to those cities again and like not easily, but come in again and have an established audience in those places. That's a major thing for independent artists, just to know that you have a core listenership that you can go back to in places, and then just building from there. We don't have Lethbridge on this tour, which is unfortunate because I went to U of L, so I love them. But we have a show planned for after the tour, maybe in the early new year, like January, February, somewhere in there. And then we have some hopes to head out a little further east with Montreal, Toronto, and we'll see Ottawa, see what else we can do. But yeah, that would be a success for this album, would just be listening or reaching new listeners.
Okay, let's plug everything. Where
Yeah.
can people get tickets for the show in Calgary? Where can people find you on social media? Where can people find the album?
Yeah. You can get tickets for the show at linktree.com/thebluexo. It's got the whole tour set up there with all the different tour dates. But September 26th, Calgary, Number One Legion, that's where you can grab tickets. You can find me on socials on Instagram at thebluexo, as well as you can catch all my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all major streaming services. Just search The Blue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to sum up your new album. I want you to sum up So Look at the Bright Side in one sentence as a send-off for the episode here.
One sentence for So Look at the Bright Side.
It's tough.
Yeah.
All that writing just for one sentence.
Yeah. The one sentence would be, things could be worse, so look at the bright side.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to say to anyone?
No, thank you. I hope everyone enjoys the album. I hope I see everybody at the release show. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on again.
Thank you. I appreciate it again.
That's it.